is a settlement in a case that has basically been tried in court and in the court of public opinion, a sign of guilt. Let's talk about Shannon Sharpe being released from ESPN. Shall we? Oh, yes, we shall. A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers, and my nieces and nephews, and all of y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for auntie advice. Sweet old. It's time for auntie advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for auntie advice. I want to thank one of my subscribers for sending this story to me about Shannon Sharpe. Hi, everybody. My name is Auntie, and this is Auntie's Advice. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, y'all know that we have covered through a couple of videos this case with Shannon Sharpe. And recently, Shannon Sharpe settled his case, right? Um, or at least I think he thought he did. Um, in an article in the New York Post, it says ESPN is done with Shannon Sharpe after bombshell $50 million suit. I'm just going to have to take me a little pause for the cause. In this article, it says Shannon Sharpe era is over at ESPN. The worldwide leader has served ties with the Pro Football Hall of Famer, has severed, ties with him. The Athletics Andrew Marchand reported Wednesday, days after he settled a bombshell $50 million lawsuit that accused him of rape. Shannon, who is 57 years old, was dating a young lady, I believe, at the age of 20, 21, 19, met her at 19, started dating her at 21, and initially joined First Take in the fall of 2023 after leaving FS1's Undisputed with Skip Bayless earlier in the year. Now, y'all know, if you have been following Shannon Sharpe, we were all happy about that because Shannon Sharpe had just gotten tired of arguing and being put out there in the street with Skip. Like, Skip, we ain't gonna go there because I can go down a whole rabbit hole. Nonetheless, he left and we were all proud. Shannon started his own YouTube channel and he had a viral video interview with the Cat Williams, and his channel blew up. Now, I have been watching Shannon basically from the Skip Bayless days. I have been watching him, do different shows and stuff like that. I really was interested in what he had to say. I felt like that he was an old country boy that was, coming up in the era, right? He was very open about, saving his money, very open, well, not very open, but open enough about his children, about his relationships and stuff like that. He started, the channel. He brought on Ocho, and they were bringing special guests and stuff like that. Talking to different athletes. Then he branched off into talking to celebrities and stuff like that, and I really loved it. But once this thing hit, right, out here in the streets, in the viral streets, I kind of watched him. I had mentioned in a video earlier, in another video that I did on him, and those videos are in the playlist. I had mentioned that one of the things that made me kind of look at Shannon a little different was the incident, the infamous viral incident that happened on Instagram where Shannon Sharpe was entertaining a woman by the name of Michelle. He said that he threw the cell phone across the bed and then they went live on Instagram. Now, I must admit that I am finding that a lot of these applications are very loose, right? And you will find yourself being somewhere like, oh, no, 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 no. Right? I don't want to go live. So, you have to kind of turn up the button on it. I'm always like catching myself with that. But anyway, nonetheless, he was caught up in an incident with her. And instead of him being, I thought a gentleman about it. Now, he did not disclose his name. And I'm sure that a lot of people think that that was as a gentlemanly as he could have and should have been. I watched him in, on his broadcast as many celebrity and, friends, football, music industry begin to come up on his channel, and they made fun and light of it at the expense to me of this woman praying and hoping that no one finds her. That was a turn off for me. I started seeing his advertisements changing. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's going to, make money off of this thing. Now, I don't know whether or not the real Michelle has been exposed, because after that, I kind of started dwindling off from watching Mr. Sharp. As a content creator, you want to make the best of your channel, doing what it is that you love to do. And it was fantastic to see him, come in at, golly, what, 100,000. He was quickly up at 3,000 subscribe, 300,000 subscribers. He just grew up and he blew up. But with this, so did his ego. There was some controversy out there in the street, right? Prior to the leak or the video, of Michelle, that Shannon was having an affair with a man. And a lot of people felt like Shannon had, done this on purpose, to try to convince people that he was all man. And it turned me off. It turned me off. Just the way that he was gloating in it and making light of it and allowing other people to, like, rah rah, pat him on his back, that he was getting it on with some woman who has to hide herself. And then the allegations came out about this young lady, and there was a huge part of me that was rooting for him. However, I started going back over, interviews. I think that I did a video. No, I'm sure I did a video on that, on some controversial comments that he had made over the time frame, right? Over the time. And, he was, Monique was trying to warn him. Several people had tried to warn him. Cat Williams has said that, these deviants was going to be exposed. He said in 24, but honey, it was 24 and 25. And he had made a comment saying that he dates women, based on, I believe that he said his salary or something like that, or it's just like a little small. And I was like, are you kidding me? So when these accusations came out, wow, I said that it was, I really wanted to root for him, and I wanted to believed that, this was just some woman after a money grab. After I began to put the pieces together, it caused me to pause. It caused me to pause. And I mean, when I say pause, I mean a hard street, tire burning, burn the rubber on the street pause. Because he was making comments all along that I had, and I'm sure a lot of people have been ignoring. I also started to see the way that I did not like the way that he was treating Ocho either. I remember on a particular broadcast where Ocho was late and he just berated him. Absolutely a lack of compassion, a lack of professionalism, in my opinion. These are all my opinions. And I just was like, he just not the man that I thought he was. Um, he I don't want to say he got too big for his draws because I think that everybody aspires to be more than what they are, but it is always the way that you do things. So when this young lady came out, I just was like, you know what? I ain't got none for him. I don't have nothing for him. Mm-mm. I don't feel no ways tired that you would meet a young lady, 19 years old, in the gym, younger than my daughter, and y'all talking about brown babies, black babies, and put this baby juice in. What are we doing? You're 50 motherfucking 7 years old. And these are the conversations that you are having with a child. I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that when he met her, she wasn't even legal enough to go and buy a drink. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that it came out that she was 19 when he met her. And I could absolutely be wrong. And if I am, I will retract it and apologize. Matter of fact, I'll do it now. But I could have sworn she was 19 years old. So after that incident, I came back and I reported that they were supposed to be going to court, woo woo woo. He had, tried to settle with her. Next thing I know, it comes out, Busby says, case closed, next case. We settled. Thank you, Clara, so much for sending me the article. Y'all, Clara be keeping me with the tea. Thank you, Clara. Busby said, case closed, next case. Shannon, when he initially came out, said that this was a money grab, that he was going to court. He thanked his family, he thanked his friends, and we thought that Shannon was going to be in for the long haul. Moreover, when Shannon came out about this case, he said that he was taking a break from ESPN and that he would be back when the season started. I'm sorry, y'all. He said he was going to fight this case. And again, as I said before I got distracted, he said he would be returning to ESPN during the football season. Y'all have to understand that Shannon is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's a legendary tight end and finds himself named in a civil lawsuit filed in Nevada. This girl accused him of actually assaulting her multiple times in 2024. Shannon also went on to say that there was a tape, and if they had the tape, release the tape. I don't think Shannon really meant release that tape. He said that the tape would make him appear to be, or things would appear to be, something that they were not. And I'm sitting on the back end and saying, where is the tape? Where is the tape? Let's go. And the next thing you know, in the headlines, Sharpe, Shannon, who deny all allegations of coercion or misconduct, in a statement through his legal counsel, was involved in an ugly back and forth with the accuser and her attorney, with intimate details of their relationship being exposed. The statement from his legal team included, y'all, graphic messages sent to him from the accuser. The evidence painted a clear picture that this relationship was consensual, an adult relationship that included role playing, nasty language, and fantasy scenarios. Shannon said, at this juncture, I'm electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. That's what he said back in April. ESPN had backed Shannon's decision to step away, telling the Post that this is a serious situation and we agree with Shannon's decision to step away. But now it's being reported that they was like, we ain't got it to do, boo. We ain't got it to do. If you don't believe me, let me show you. I'll show you the headline. ESPN done with Shannon Sharpe after bombshell $50 million lawsuit. But I want to ask a question. Despite how I may feel, cases are won and lost based on the preponderance of the evidence. This case never went to court, but it did go to the court of public opinion. Oh, yes. They selected a jury on TikTok, from Instagram, members from the jury consisted of members from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Black Twitter, and the like. Yeah. Oh, it went to trial. Yes, it did. In the face of public opinion, But I want to ask you all, despite how we feel publicly, is a settlement an admission of guilt? That's what I want to leave with you. Now, all the legal documents will tell you no, a settlement is not an admission of guilt, because the legal definition is a settlement is a mutual agreement between parties. This settlement is reached by these two mutual people to resolve a dispute without a trial. It often includes stating that the settlement does not constitute an admission of guilt or liability. People often settle for avoiding uncertainty, high legal costs, negative publicity, and the risk of losing in court. Some people believe it is a strategic decision, one to move on, try to protect your reputation, and focus your resources, meaning your papers, somewhere else. And common in civil suits are settlements. In a civil lawsuit, settlements are extremely common and typically do not imply wrongdoing. However, settlements may be perceived as admission. So even though a settlement between these mutual parties isn't a legal admission of guilt, public perception can sometimes say otherwise. It can and it will sometimes say otherwise. Because if a large sum is paid, what do people do? They assume guilt. If no explanation is given, the speculation may just fill that gap. In a criminal case, plea deals are more directly tied to guilt. But even then, a no contest plea means a person doesn't admit but accepts the punishment of it. So, legally, y'all, Shannon settling this case does not mean that he is admitting to guilt. When it comes to the public opinion, it's something altogether different. And the reason why it is different is because people want to be able to trust public figures. Many people believe that their public figure should come forward, and if they didn't do anything wrong, why are they buying silence? If the public feels that the people they admire are escaping consequences through money or legal maneuvering, trust in that person or the system may erode. Accountability is what people are looking for. Yeah or no? Y'all let me know down in the chat. Yeah or no? Are people looking for these role models, if you will? I say that very loosely. Are people looking for them to be accountable? People want to see liars, wrongdoers exposed and corrected. A lot of people believe that if settlements always happen behind closed doors, there's a sense that powerful people with money don't face the same consequences as those who do not have, especially in cases involving public safety. The public may feel entitled to a resolution. Narratives and their reputation, public opinion often feels in the gaps when legal processes aren't as transparent. A quiet settlement to some might lead people to assume guilt even if none was admitted. Moreover, a person falsely accused may still be stigmatized by the fact that they settled. We also need to talk about presidents' influence, how high profile people settlements can set a social and an industry precedent, even if they don't settle legal ones. The public watches these cases to understand what behavior is tolerated and what is not. And people want closure. They want justice for closure. So, if people were on Shannon's side and believed that he did not do that, people want justice. And a lot of people, and they want closure, and they feel like a settlement does not give that to them. Because number one, they're not sitting at the table. Number two, they don't know what the settlement was and how much it was, and knick-knack and paddywhack and give a dog a bone. Why do people believe that ESPN dropped him? Probably for a number of the reasons I have already listed and discussed. We all know, or for those of you all who don't know, ESPN is a Disney channel. Yeah, ESPN is Disney all day, boo. All day is Disney. And what is the reputation of Disney? Now, I'm not saying that this is the reason why. I'm saying people are speculating that ESPN was like Disney. No. ESPN, you gotta go. A lot of people are probably thinking that. Disney wants to maintain, in my opinion, and in the opinion of others, a certain reputation for their brand. I see that Wendy's front yard came out and said Disney fired Johnny Depp and he wasn't even found guilty. Was it Disney or Marvel that fired the black guy? I can't even think of his name. When he had the incident with the young lady, I think in the cab or in the club, and he's dating the girl Megan Good. They was like, you won't be you won't be marveling at nothing else. Yes, thank you, Chase Stacks. Stacks was the first one to put it in the chat. Jonathan Majors. Thank you, Tabitha. So I asked the question. Oh, I'm sorry, young. I'm sorry, you were the first one. Chase Stacks, you took the credit for that. I'm sorry, boo. You were the first one to put it in there. Jonathan Majors. Thank you, boo. Clara said you're speaking of Jonathan Majors, and he hasn't worked since. So I ask you again. I leave this with you. Despite how I feel, despite what my opinion may be, What is yours? Why do you believe that ESPN let him go? Again, was it for any of the reasons that I've already discussed? Or was it for cost, to protect their reputation, to move on, to focus their resources somewhere else? The risk of being associated with him if he had lost in court, negative publicity, high legal costs, avoiding all of those uncertainties. Why do you believe that they have cut that old Shannon Sharpe? Let's sound off in the comments. Let's continue the discussion there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for being here. And until we meet again, y'all be safe out there in the streets and in order.